Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, gentlemen, for being here. Thank you for your service to our country. I want to get to China, but I want to start with the C-130Js, where Senator Rosen was the topic she was just on. General Nahom, General Richardson, you give me a sense of how the Air Force is determining the number of C-130Js that are required across the active force and the Air National Guard.
Sir, the total number right now we're looking at as an Air Force, as I mentioned in my opening statement, was 255. If you break that down by the C-130Js we either have now or are currently on order, that's about 163 aircraft. That leaves 92 C-130Hs that we would fully modify for our fleet of 255. That's obviously subject to change. As we said, getting to 255 is a stretch goal. That's if we can get that with mutually agreeable replacement missions, and we may not get there, and we understand that. But we believe that 163 is a good number. We have to be careful as we take on new C-130Js. That comes obviously at a cost to what we could do with that money for other areas that we're frankly carrying greater risks than on the C-130 platform.
Got it. The 139th Airlift Wing in Rosencrantz, at Rosencrantz in Missouri, has done outstanding work with the C-130Hs, as I'm sure you know. Countless disaster relief operations, regular deployments to Europe, to CENTCOM, PACOM. I would hope and expect that the 139th would be at the top of the list as you think about additional future locations for the C-130Js. Can I have your commitment that you'll work with me on that and consider us in Missouri?
Yes, Senator, absolutely.
Great, thank you. Briefly on the A-10, back to your divestment plans there. What are the Air Force's plans for the 442nd Fighter Wing at Whiteman Air Force Base, also in my home state, as you continue to scale down the number of A-10s that you have?
Right now, sir, if our plan over the next 2 years is to go down 63 airplanes, as I said, from 9 to 7 operational squadrons. What is at Whiteman is part of those 7. So that's part of the group that's staying. The 2 squadrons that would come down would be the 1 operational squadron at Davis-Monthan and the 1 operational squadron at Fort Wayne, Indiana, which is we are on track right now to convert them to the F-16.
Got it. That's great. That's very helpful. Thank you. Let's shift to China. If China is our pacing threat, and I think that you've been pretty clear about that, certainly the Secretary has been, General Milley has been, then I would say that defeating a Chinese fait accompli in Taiwan has got to be our pacing scenario. I mean, no other scenario is as urgent or important, and no other scenario poses as great a challenge, frankly, I think, to the joint force than the fait accompli does in Taiwan. So with that in mind, General Brown testified last week that the United States must maintain its ability to deny a Chinese fait accompli against Taiwan. My question for you is, how's the Air Force incorporating that specific scenario into your capabilities development process?
Sir, I think especially if we can come back in a classified setting, show you our wargaming, I think you'd be very pleased that we are absolutely using the pacing threat China with the hardest scenarios in all our wargaming, and that is directly influencing our investment options right now. When you look at how we are organizing our strategy and design and how we're implementing that into our POM, and that's why you're seeing our chief talk about that 2-bomber fleet, getting to the B-21 quickly, and those modifications of the B-52 with the long-range weapons, getting to that 4-fighter fleet. Very controversial, replacing the F-22 with the next generation air dominance to get at that toughest problem. So I think you're seeing that as well as in our ISR design that we would not be able to discuss in this forum, but I think you'll see that pacing threat with that toughest scenario is absolutely influencing our investment.
Great. I'd love to follow up with you and get a briefing in the appropriate setting. Can we talk about LRASMs for a second? Your budget for last year requested 5. Your budget this year, unless I'm mistaken, requests 0. I asked General Brown about this. He said that the Air Force isn't buying any LRASMs this year because it's focused on hypersonics. My concern is it fair to say that hypersonics are not a one-to-one replacement for LRASMs? Because even if we do use them to go after Chinese surface targets, for example, they're so expensive we won't be able to field them at a scale that we could with LRASMs. Help me understand the thinking here and the trade-offs.
Yes, sir. And LRASM is an important weapon, and we absolutely have that in mind with all our future scenarios. There's other ways we can get at surface ships as well. We'll have to get to a classified setting, but there are other. We are absolutely invested and committed to advanced weapons. We got to be really careful we don't buy a lot. With our 5th generation, 6th generation platforms, we don't go flying around with 3rd generation weapons. We're very cognizant of that, and I think you'll see that in our classified investment.
I appreciate that, and I look forward to that. And what I'm driving at is just making sure that we're able to maintain a very robust sea denial capability. It seems that, again, in the pacing theater and with the in your words, the most challenging threat to the pacing scenario, sea denial seems to be pretty key. So what you're telling me is that you're absolutely focused on that and on the ball.
We're certainly focused on that scenario, sir, of the most challenging scenario and with the pacing threat. Yes, sir.
Very good. All right, my time has expired. Thank you. I'll follow up with you about the briefing. Thank you, Madam Chair.